before we get on to that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about who I am and why I'm up here. So, first of all, how many people have never worked with me before? Wow, okay, cool. So you guys just showed up not knowing what the hell's about to happen. That's great. Okay, so I call myself a belief shifter because I work directly with people's beliefs and shift them from bad things to good things. And most of it involves just clearing out negative belief after negative belief. And I got to do this because, like many of you, I was a victim of negative beliefs myself. And not just negative beliefs, but beliefs that trap you. So a lot of times we're in this life and sometimes we feel trapped, and sometimes we are trapped and we don't even know. So with me, the journey began when I was 22 years old and I got rheumatoid arthritis. And I ended up spending a lot of years in bed, in pain, my body slowly deforming, and thinking, wow, this is going to be my life. This is great. And when I finally got to a certain point where I said, that's enough, I talked to my dad. He said, is there anything I can do? We've tried all this stuff. It's not working. And he recommended this program called Combined Therapy that's over in India. And so I jump on a plane and I go to India for this therapy. And it was interesting because the way he described it, I thought I was going to like lie on a table and some Indian mystic's going to go, ooh, here we go, we're going to heal your body. And I ended up spending 2 weeks just talking to this guy and just going through every bit of my life. And it was just like being with a psychiatrist. But he wasn't actually trying to solve anything. He was just gathering information. And finally, he tells me, so here's the problem. You feel you're responsible for everyone in your life. And I'm like, no, I don't. And he's like, yeah, you do. Based on everything you told me, you created this belief that you're responsible for everyone in your life. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm a responsible person, but I think I'm responsible for everyone. He goes, yeah, but that's what's going on at a subconscious level. At a conscious level, you don't want to be responsible. But at a subconscious level, you feel you have to be responsible. So I said, okay, so let's say that's going on. What the hell does that have to do with arthritis? He says, well, if you're lying in bed in pain, you don't have to be responsible for anyone. So the arthritis is a solution for a problem you don't even realize you have. And I'm like, well, that's fucked. So I said, okay, well, if that's the problem, then from this moment forth, I'm not going to be responsible for anyone but me. And he's like, are you sure? I said, yeah, that's the problem. I'm just not going to be responsible for anyone. Like, that's it, done. And I woke up the next morning, no pain, no inflammation, feeling amazing. And I'm like, where's the arthritis? So that one belief had caused years and years of agony and pain and restriction and everything for me. And so I got, started feeling great. The damage was still done because, every chronic illness out there is a solution to a problem you may or may not know you have. And when you figure out why you need that illness, you can figure out how to get around it. And it's amazing how that works. So, and then other things in our lives that suck are actually solutions for problems we don't realize we have. So your money situation, your relationship situation, your health situation. Everything that's going on in your life right now, as far as your subconscious is feeling, it's perfect. Okay? Consciously, a lot of us are like, no, this isn't good. This is not perfect. I want better. And when we get into things like negative self-talk, for some reason, having that negative self-talk is good for us at some level. For most people, it keeps you safe, right? Because you want to do great things, but then you hear that little talk going, no, you can't do that. That's gonna fail. You're gonna be embarrassed. You're not good enough to do that. And so you get to stay small and safe. And human beings love being safe. Two things human beings love above all else: being right and being safe. Okay. And I mean, who doesn't love to be right? This is a great thing. And the problem with being safe is when you keep trying to be safe, you're inherently saying there's something out there to be safe from. So you create the things to be safe from. And this is a crazy thing because we're creating our reality as we go along. And we don't realize how powerfully we're creating that reality. So if you're worried about bad things happening, you will actually create bad things around you. So you can say, hey, look, see, there it is. I have to be safe from that. Right? If you're in this place where you're saying, I'm not good enough, and you're in that negative self-talk, and then finally you get to a point where you go, okay, I'm going to do this, and then it fails miserably, you say, look, I was right, and so I'm not going to do that again because I failed. And this is all that's going on is you're trying to be as safe as possible, and you want to be right. Because if you have a repeating story going on, and we're going to be clearing repeating stories tonight, every time it happens, you get to be right again, right? And even if the story sucks, we get that joy of, see, I was right. And how many times have you guys complained to someone else about it happened again? Right? The one I get with my female clients, I met another guy, another jerk. Why does this keep happening to me? Like, wow, you really love this story about finding jerks. You can continue to find jerks, and we can try something different. Right? People trying to get their business going, and it's just like, there's never enough money, or my partners betray me, or the timing is wrong. And you don't realize that you're creating this as you go, and it doesn't feel like you're creating it because it seems like it's all external. No, it was these people, and it was the government, it was the economy, right? And so it's great because we can blame and blame and blame and blame and blame. Right? But when you step into this place of ownership of what's going on and realize you're creating everything, right? I created illness in my body. I've created a hell of a lot of things that I'm just like, why would I have created that? It was amazing to watch it happen and then look back afterwards and say, okay, here's the reasons I created that, and this is why that's good for me. So what's gonna happen today is, I haven't even talked about my process, so let's go through that. What I do is I have conversations with you guys. And when I talk to you, I can tell when your conscious beliefs match your subconscious beliefs. And when they don't, you're lying. Now, I don't give a crap if you're lying to me. This is about you lying to you. So a lot of people that come to me when they're trying to create more wealth, one of the first questions I ask them is, would you love to double your income this year? And everyone's like, oh, hell yeah. And their energy's like, oh God, no, that would be horrible. So, and this is what's happening. You don't even realize it's going on. So we're good. When I have a conversation, we're gonna get people up in this chair, the hot seat. And the first person's actually going to be Facebook Live, and then after that, it's just private for us. These guys are just sort of get a tease of what's going on to say, you should be here. You shouldn't be sitting at home. And when we find out there's a lie, we're going to dig down and find out what the belief is. I'm going to ask you a series of questions and see where the lies and the truth are coming in. When we get to a belief, I'm going to ask, are you willing to destroy that belief? If you say yes, and you mean it, meaning it is important, it actually gets snuffed out in that moment. And it can be very powerful. There'll be a shift of energy for a lot of people, us women right now. So the most common things, people just sort of feel sort of energy movement, they feel lighter and happier. It's a deep emotional thing. You might feel sad. You might actually get nausea on deep emotional things that we shift. Yeah, we haven't had anyone throw up here yet, but it has happened in other sessions I've done. So, but some people feel hotter or colder. I've seen muscle spasms. My body reacts to energy shifts in the room, in that I will yawn and I will cough. And that's just what I do. And I need to tell people this, so number one, I'm not sick. And number two is oftentimes the energy moves while we're having the conversation. So I've had people that are just pouring their heart out to me, and I'm yawning, and I'm not bored. Right? I'm just like, energy's moving, so it's good. So that's part of the process. I may ask, are you willing to step out of the story? As I explain what stories were, you're ready to step out of the story that's been going on and on in your life. And I ask you that, say yes, and you mean it, it shifts. Now, whatever's going on for the person up here is going on for everyone out there. So when I ask them if they want to destroy a belief or step out of a story, they're going to say yes, or they hopefully will say yes. But you guys can say yes as well to yourselves. or you know, quietly don't yell it out. We've had like people up here that are struggling to get to that yes, and meanwhile the audience is like yes, yes, yes. It's kind of distracting to the person we're working on. But just, and this is the thing, you don't need to say yes. You may think you don't have that belief, but pretty much I always say, listen, if you don't know whether it's there or not, and you're willing to get rid of that belief, just say yes anyway, because then things clear. It's there. There's no way I would believe something that idiotic. I'm like, but if it's there, are you willing to destroy it? And they're like, well, yeah, if it's there, I'm willing to destroy. Oh man, no. Okay, yeah, there's something. There's something. So this is what's going to happen tonight. I am going to talk about negative self-talk, and so that you guys can learn some stuff and how to deal with it. But most of the magic that's going to be happening is up here, because what's going on here just goes out to everyone. So, any questions on any of that? Okay, wow, okay. So, oh, and yeah, if you ever hear me say ow, it means that the person I'm working on or someone out there is in resistance to what we're talking about. And it kind of feels like you're throwing energetic daggers at me. Yes?
Are you going to tell us what our beliefs are?
Yes, I'm going to tell you what the beliefs are. Yes?
You said that you went to India
Yeah.
and then you had a therapy.
I went to India and had a therapy.
In which you talked to the person that was...
Yeah, I was talking to him about my beliefs.
But you went there because you had physical illness, arthritis.
Yes.
But you went there to talk about it.
Yes, I went to talk about the arthritis.
Okay. Now, I don't get it.
You don't get, what's the question here?
My question is that why did you see that particular solution in that, you know,
Why did I
you
see-
went there, right? You
Because what I was doing wasn't working. So I had to go and try something completely different.
Does that mean you tried everything else before?
I couldn't say I tried everything else because there's an infinite possibilities of what you can do to fix something. I tried a lot of things and they weren't working. And of course, this is the thing. Even if you find something that works, if you don't clear the underlying belief, you'll find that thing stops working after a while. I had done some different techniques and supplements and stuff that would get me out of the arthritis for a while. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. But then because the belief was there, it just came right back in. Right? You see people that are on drugs for certain illnesses and then they build up an immunity to the drug. It's because they're not curing the cause of the drug. They're just trying to push down the symptoms of the drug. Right? So this is a big thing, because if you've got illness in some way, or you know someone that's got illness, you'll notice there are patterns as to when it gets worse and when it lightens up. And when you really look at those patterns, you'll realize what was going on. When I look at the patterns of what happened with me, if I planned a trip overseas, my arthritis would go into remission because I was leaving everyone I was responsible for. Right? And so I'd go overseas and I'd be having a great time. I'm like, wow, this is great. And then when I came back, the arthritis came back. And people on the surface, like they said, oh, well, it was the climate in the other country, right? That's why. But when I look back at it now, it's like, no, because the arthritis would start to go away a few weeks before I left, and it would start to come back a few weeks before I came home. So it wasn't actually the climate. But at that point, I didn't put the connection as, okay, what's causing this? So, and I've seen this with my clients. We'll have a discussion about when things get bad and when things lighten up, and it's funny. I'm like, so what you're saying is every time you hang out with your husband, you feel sick. No, wait, oh God, no. It's like, so things like this happen, right? And I'm not saying that the girl didn't love her husband, but there was some relationship dynamic that was there that she didn't want to be in. And it's amazing how many of these things come from not being able to say no. Okay? And people that do a lot of negative self-talk, they try to please other people to feel better about themselves, and they have a really hard time saying no to it. Right? So I had a client that was not making a lot of money, and she was living paycheck to paycheck, and we said, okay, well, what's the wonderful thing about living paycheck to paycheck? And she's like, there's nothing wonderful about that. I'm like, I'm going to make my rent each month. And when we finally dug down a little bit, we found out that when people ask her to go out to places she doesn't like to go to, she's like, well, I can't afford it. So if she's making lots of money, she couldn't use that excuse. Right? But if she could just say, no, I don't want to go, then she doesn't have to use her money flow as an excuse for these other people. Right? And this is what happens. It's like you don't want to say no to people. You don't want to disappoint people, and you're living for other people's pleasure and other people's satisfaction. Meanwhile, you're in a negative state yourself. So if you really want to create an amazing life for yourself, you have to be number one. Okay? And this is above your partners. This is above your kids. You have to be number one. Right? And this is not about being selfish. This is just about putting yourself first. Okay? So everyone who's ever been on an airline, taking a flight somewhere. Okay, most people. You watch a safety video, right? And they talk about sudden decompression and the oxygen mask drop down. You've got a little kid next to you. Who gets the mask first? You do. Why? So you can help the other people. You can help the children. You have to apply that to your life all the time. If you're taking care of everyone else before you are going to get sick, you are going to get tired, you're probably going to get irritable, and you will not be in a place where you can help other people around you when they need help. But if you put yourself first, take care of yourself first, then you can take care of everyone around you. Right? Now, this doesn't mean like you put yourself here and everyone down here. But you put yourself here, and then you put your kids just there, just a little bit lower, and then other people go down the totem. But when you're trying to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. And when you get people addicted to you pleasing them, and you start to step out of that, they get angry at you. Why aren't you doing these things? You're always taking, this is just our dynamic. This is the way it is, and they'll try to force you back to that role. Right? So this is a big thing, because I want you guys to have amazing lives, and I want you guys to be able to say no to the things you don't want to do and say yes to the things you do. And that's the other thing. We're going to talk about that as well, because half of you are afraid to say yes to what you actually want in life. And that negative self-talk comes in. It's like, there's no way I can do it. There's no way people will agree with that. And you've got to start shutting off those voices. And most of these voices come from our parents. Okay? Our parents love us, and our parents are trying to teach us to have the best life. But number one, our parents want us to be safe. So they raise us and teach us to be as safe as possible. And I'll just explain what happens when you're safe. Okay? So your parents have their own fears, phobias, ways of doing things that just don't make any sense, but they've inherited from their parents, or they've brought over from their culture. And so that's all they know, so that's all they can teach you. So it may suck, but that's all they've got to teach you, and so they're just trying to do the best they can. And we take this in and say, well, this is how I'm supposed to live. This is what works. And when you can step out of that and start living for what's best for you and what you really want, your life begins to change. Last month, we were working on relationships, and it was quite amusing because no one wanted to come up here and really talk about their relationships. We had a few at the beginning, and then I just ended up sitting here and talking for like an hour and a half on relationships, until finally one girl decided to come up here. And she was talking about how she was in a relationship with a guy that didn't want kids, but she wanted kids, and she didn't know what to do about that. And it was interesting, because when she said he wants kids and I don't, I saw the lie come up. So we dug down on that, and it was her parents want her to have kids, not her. So she's living this life for her parents, trying to have grandchildren for her parents, whether or not she actually wants kids or not. So how much of your life is about your parents being happy with you and your parents being proud of you, as opposed to you being happy? How many times when you hear that voice saying, don't do this, that's not a great decision, is it one of your parents' voices? Right? This is a big thing because you can even note by what you say as to what's going on. Because I've heard a lot of people go, "Oh, I want to do this," but then that voice in my head says. Now, just the phrasing "that voice in my head" means it's not you. Because typically when you're talking about yourself, I want to do this, but then I said to myself, no. And that's you, because I said to myself. Right? And it comes out subconsciously. You don't realize you're phrasing things this way. And so whenever you realize you're saying, "Oh, well, there's that voice in my head," ask yourself, whose voice is that? And should I actually listen to that voice? Right? And if it's keeping you small, if it's keeping you safe, you probably don't want to listen to that voice. You want to create expansion for yourself. You want to create happiness for yourself. And you want to stop all the negative self-talk. Now, growing up, my parents were amazing parents, but they really wanted me to be safe. And the amount of negative self-talk I had was incredible. And it was just like, these girls would never want to talk to me. It was, I'm never going to be the popular kid. And, and then even just my career, this actually wasn't my parents, this was like all my uncles and aunts. They're like, "Oh, Shiraz is going to be the next family doctor." I did so well in school, the grades, for them, good grades equated to becoming a doctor. Right? And I don't know why that happens, but then I spent, like, growing up, almost my entire time growing up, thinking I had to become a doctor. And anything about what I really loved at the time was doing computer work. And everyone was like, "Well, I really want to do computer work." The negative self-talk was like, "You can't do that. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're the next family doctor. You have an obligation to this family to become a doctor." And so that talk would just hit me. And I went into university. I entered in molecular genetics. I lasted 3 years, three miserable years in university before it's just like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I finally confronted my dad, and I went, "I can't do this. I want to do computers, and I want to change my major and do computers." And he looks at me and goes, "Oh, well, thank God." I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, you were always good at computers. I thought you were going to do computers, but you said you wanted to go into genetics." I'm like, "I thought you wanted me to be a doctor." He goes, "No, I don't. I just want you to be happy." Okay. And that's another thing. Is sometimes the voice we hear is the voice we think people will tell us, our parents will tell us, because we've created this image and this story about who they are and what they want for us. And we're living a life we don't even need to live. So that was a huge learning experience for me. It's like, oh, look, this is the way my dad actually functions. So we're going to get someone up here. Any questions on anything I've said? Does that make sense to people?
Yes.
Okay. So does anyone want to volunteer? Yes. Come on. Okay. So what's going on?
Naomi, I feel like I've created my own social isolation. And I've created my own disability, like with anxiety.
Okay, so here's the crazy question. What's wonderful about that?
That I know it.
Anything else? What does the social isolation give you?
Safety.
So what would happen if suddenly you weren't isolated? How would you feel?
I would feel unsafe, and I always do.
So when did this start?
Puberty.
So was there anything that happened during puberty that you can remember that had a profound effect on you?
I was bullied.
Okay. So let me ask you this. If you stopped isolating yourself, would you be bullied again?
It's possible.
That's a yes?
I'm saying it's a possibility.
So your energy is already reacting to that. So what happens is we get a childhood trauma, and we have to create conditions so that never happens again. So we get stuck in these places. So when you think about being surrounded by people and not being isolated, how old do you feel?
Very young. I don't know, like 10.
Okay, so this is what's happening is you're creating a reality from the point of view of a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
So, as an adult, when you look around, how much bullying actually goes on in the world?
In the world?
For your world.
Oh, not a lot.
Does anyone bully you right now?
No.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we want to disconnect you from the 10-year-old you and get you into, I say whatever, I don't know how old you are, but whatever age you are now. Okay. So, are you willing to destroy the belief that you need to function and protect yourself from the point of view of a 10-year-old?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's not moving a lot. So there's a lot of fear coming up right now as we talk about this. Right? So, and this thing you have to realize is when you're worried about all those things happening, then you're going to see reasons why that will happen. There'll be all these reasons why it won't happen, but you'll ignore those because you want to create the reality that works best for you. So, and this is why I asked you, because you see in your life there's no bullying going on.
Right.
Okay, the people that you do know, how well do you get along with them?
Very well.
And do you feel loved by those people?
Yes.
So, when you focus on that aspect and realize that if you stop isolating yourself, then what you're feeling with the few people you're with will multiply to a lot more people. How would that feel?
That would be a bit scary, but it would be a good thing. It would be a good thing.
Okay, and I'm not saying you have to suddenly go out and expose yourself to thousands of people, but you can grow that at a comfortable rate and have more and more people in your life. Okay? So, just sort of get that image of what it would be like to have more people in your life, people that love you, people that support you, and how does that feel?
It feels good, but the problem is letting myself feel it.
So, what's scary about letting yourself feel it?
Like I'm worried about like feeling embarrassed.
So, how would letting people love you be embarrassing?
I'm not sure how to explain it.
So the more people that you let into your life, the more chance you have of being embarrassed. Is that what's going on?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the thing about being embarrassed. That's up to you, right? I used to be very, very self-conscious, and if things embarrassing happened to me, then I'd be like, oh my God, how's everyone going to see me now? But when you shift into it and you can get to this place where, oh, that was embarrassing, and you're able to laugh at yourself for it, then you don't care about being embarrassed. You can actually start embarrassing yourself and enjoy it and go with it. And you realize that the people around you, if they love you, they're going to laugh for a bit, but they're still going to love you. And they're going to get embarrassed at times. You're going to laugh at them, and then you just keep going. So I've actually gotten to a point now where every now and then I'll do something incredibly stupid, and I'll just post it on Facebook. And this is a deep thing because no one saw it. I just did it. And I thought, you know what, this was just so funny. It would have been funny if I could have shared this with someone else and they could have laughed in my face. Now let me just put it on Facebook so I can get that. And so I think the other day it was just like, wondering why my tea tastes so weak, and then I realized I never put a tea bag in it. Water and milk. So we're in control of how we feel when people react around us. And if you're trying to get a specific response from everyone and you're trying to be in control of that,
Right.
then it makes it hard to live.
Yes.
Because we can't control anyone else's responses. But if we get to a place of just being in flow with it, oh, I did something embarrassing, that's okay. I did something really cool, that's okay. These things are just going to happen, and you accept that there's always, for every person here, there's going to be embarrassing moments. Who here has had an embarrassing moment? Okay. Who here has lost all sorts of friends and no one talks to them ever again just because of that embarrassing moment? One. Okay, we'll have to talk to you later. Okay, but for the most part, it's all good. So, are you willing to laugh at yourself when you do something stupid?
Well, I don't know.
Are you willing to laugh at your friends when they do something stupid?
I suppose. I don't know.
So when your friends do something embarrassing to them for themselves, do you think anything less of them, or do you just think something embarrassing happened?
Sometimes I do think less of them, to be completely honest.
So why do you think less of them if something embarrassing happened?
Because I have disdain for the human condition.
Okay, well, that's really honest. See, but here's the thing: humans are imperfect. Humans are going to make mistakes. They're going to do really cool things in their lives. They're going to do really embarrassing things in their lives. And when you get into acceptance of that we are flawed and we are learning and we are growing and we're all just trying to do the best we can, then you're going to look at people a different way and you're going to start to look at yourself a different way. Most of what's going on when we react to other people is projection of what's going on inside ourselves. So, okay. So how much of when you look at people and they do something embarrassing and you feel disdain for them is a reflection of what's going on inside you?
Probably a lot.
So, are you willing to forgive yourself for the stupid things you've done in your life?
I'm willing. Yes, getting there.
So this is the thing. We're going to do a whole bunch of stupid things in our lives. And if you hang on to them, that's going to echo through what's going to show up in your life. Right? So allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to have failures. Allow yourself to do stupid things and be embarrassed. And just realize that you're going to have more opportunities to do wonderful things, more opportunities to do stupid things as well. But they're just going to keep coming. They're just going to come. This is part of the human journey. Right? The whole thing about this journey is having experience after experience after experience. It's not about having good experience after good experience after good experience. It's about having experience after experience after experience. That's where the growth comes in. So when you're trying to make sure everything works all the time and everything's always great, you're going against your actual nature of what we are. If you allow yourself to be a flawed individual that's learning and growing, then it changes the whole experience of who you are. It stops that negative self-talk, because you can do something that's really stupid and go, "Whoa, that was interesting. I just did that," and it's going to change. It's going to change how you feel and how you function. Right? So, are you willing to destroy the belief that you have to make sure you do nothing wrong?
I'm willing. Yes.
Are you willing to destroy the belief that you have to make sure you don't do anything wrong in front of other people?
I'm willing. I'm willing.
That's a little shifty, but things are moving. Good. All right. So, are you willing to share who you are with more people?
Yes.
And she's got this at a more extreme level than most people. But everyone gets this. And that when we meet people, we have to start sharing who we are. And we only want to share certain parts. Let them see this part. Let's not let them see this part. And the talk comes in, no one's going to like this part of me. Hide this part. I can't let people find out because this will be embarrassing. And so you get wrapped up in trying to create an image of who you are rather than just being who you are. But the thing is, if you just start allowing yourself to be who you are, all the wonderful things and all the crappy things, then you're going to align to other people that are similar to you. Right? How often are you trying to make yourself accepted into a group of people you don't actually align with? And you're miserable, and you're trying to be someone you're not, and you're just going on, it's like, what do I have to do to be accepted? And meanwhile, there's this other group of people out there that are exactly like you. You're completely off the radar for them. And if you just start being you, you're like, oh, wait, look at these people. This is so cool. I want to hang out with you. Right? And they're going to be like, you're the coolest person ever. Where the hell have you been hiding? Right? And this is what's going to happen for you. Right? And the more you're willing to just be you, without apology, right? The more people that love exactly who you are going to align with you. Now here's the thing that makes it scary for people. The people that don't like exactly who you are not going to align with you. So there's going to be a change of who's in your life. Right? Some people are going to leave, new people are going to come in, but it's all going to get to a place where now the people in your life are the ones that really make you happy and the ones that you make really happy. As opposed to, okay, well, I've done my best to fit in. When I was in high school, I don't know if anyone's ever encountered a high school like this, but we transferred from one of the most multicultural schools in Mississauga to this place called Lorne Park Secondary School, Mississauga. They had a sorority and a fraternity in the high school, okay? And so my first day there, I'm just like, oh wait, so I'm supposed to do something to get into, no, hell no, I'm not doing that. But it was already like you have, if you want to be one of the elite, you have to be in that fraternity or the sorority. And so all these people are trying to do things to get into that group of people. And there were some great people. I'm not saying that everyone there was an asshole, but the whole thing is that why do you need to jump through hoops at a high school level, or even we create the hoops ourselves at an adult level, just to be liked by other people? Why can't you just be you and hang out with people who love you for who you are? So there's going to be a lot of people that love you for who you are. You just have to let them.
Right.
And that means allowing more people to come into your life. And when you're in this place, it's going to feel good. You're going to start connecting with people in a way you haven't connected before. And it's not going to be this scary old, I might get embarrassed, or it'll be like, wow, I really want to spend time with these people. And you're going to find they want to spend time with you too. Okay, so now things are starting to show. How are you feeling right now?
I'm still uncomfortable, but I'm getting a bit more comfortable.
Okay, so what's making you really uncomfortable right now?
Well, how close you're standing to me is and the fact that there's a room full of people looking at me. Yeah.
But again, you chose to come up and sit in front of the room full of people.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So yeah, if I'm too close, you just let me know. I'm just trying to make a short distance for the mic here. Right? So, okay. So now with me there, is this a little better?
Yes.
Okay. So with now the distance, and we'll put the audience aside for a bit. It's just you and me. How are you feeling, and are you still very uncomfortable?
I'm still uncomfortable, but
So now what's causing that uncomfort now?
The same things.
Okay, so you're not used to being in front of people.
No.
Okay. So okay, we're gonna let you go so that you're not being uncomfortable. But how do you feel about how you want to approach life dealing with people now?
I feel I feel like somewhat more relaxed when I think about like letting people into my life and showing them who I am.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll see how you do with that. And I'll stop, let it make you feel uncomfortable, I'll let you go if you like. Or do you want to stay up long? Is there something else you want to work on?
I can deal with the discomfort if we're not finished.
Okay, so, and that's why I was asking questions. How do you feel about more people seeing who you really are?
I feel afraid.
So what are you afraid they'll see?
I'm afraid they'll see my fear.
Okay. So what if they do? Sometimes you see fear, someone else's fear, and you relate directly to it. And you're like, oh my God, this person has the same fear I do. So a connection is there. And sometimes people see the fear and they're like, no, this person could really use some comfort and needs to be made to feel safe, so how can I make them feel safe? Both those things will work for you. So just because people see fear in you doesn't make it a bad thing. It just creates a dynamic that's in the relationship. Right? And there's going to be a lot of people that see that fear and you still want to be a part of your life. There's going to be some that like see the fear and it's like, oh, I don't want to hang out with them. But you're just not in line with them. Screw them. Right? Hang out with the people that you're in line with. So are you willing to destroy the belief that people will not like you if they see that you're afraid?
Yes.
Is that a real yes? There's a yes. Okay.
Yes.
That's better. So there's still some stuff going on here about just showing people the right thing so that they will like you. Okay? Don't worry about showing the right thing so people will like you. Show you. The right people will like you. Screw the rest. Okay? And you know, there are millions of people in the city alone. There's gonna be plenty that are gonna like you, that are gonna become that circle of friends for you. Right? There's gonna be some that have very similar things to what you're going through, and then they're like, thank God I can sit and be with someone who understands me. Imagine being with other people that really understand you, and then you, because of what you did through, you can understand them. How does that feel?
Well, when I meet people who are like me, I hate them sometimes because I hate myself.
So, what do you hate so much about yourself?
My like incompetence, like lack of capacity to live life.
Okay. So this is the thing. You're judging yourself, and you're hating yourself for what you feel is this huge flaw. That's just about you. And how come everyone else can function way better in life? Has anyone here ever felt like they had a lack of capacity in life? Okay.
All the time.
All the time, right? You're experiencing in your own way, they're experiencing in their way. Some people are really good at hiding it. But everyone's going through their journey, and I don't think I've met one person that hasn't felt like they were just not good enough at some point in their life, often at most points in their life, and incompetent for a lot of times. So, this is how many people here have ever felt incompetent? Okay. So this is the thing. Some people show it, obviously, some people hide it really well. Right? I've had some bosses, and you guys probably know this. How many people have had a boss at work where you're like, how the hell did he get to that position? Go ahead. Okay. So, don't judge yourself for what you're going through. Accept that it's just part of the journey. And the thing is, when you get into acceptance of it, you get into more flow. When you are judging yourself and you're angry at yourself and you're hating yourself for it, you're in that energy. You're actually creating more of that. That's a fundamental thing of law of attraction. Right? And it can be tough because you've been doing this for so long and you're so used to hating yourself. But when you're willing to take that step and say, you know what, I'm going to forgive myself for being in that place of hate for so long, and I'm going to start now just accepting that this is where I am, knowing I can change it, but this is just where I am now. Right? Do you feel like you've lost a lot of years because of this?
Oh yes.
So now here we go. How many people think that they are not as far in life right now than they should be? Huh. Look at that. So almost everyone I meet thinks that they've lost a lot of years, they've wasted time, they've done stupid things, they've failed at things that they should have succeeded at, and they're not where they should be in life. So we have two choices here. Either the entire planet is behind where they should be, or everyone's exactly where they should be. Now, if you're willing to say, okay, this is where I am right now, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be on this journey at this moment, now let's see where I go, then you don't have to punish yourself for everything that's gone on up to now. You don't have to judge yourself for what's happened, and you can just start moving forward in a different space. Okay. Are you willing to do that?
Yes.
Because this is the thing. You're exactly where you should be. Okay? I know it may not feel like that sometimes. I've been there. I thought I had lost so many years because of the arthritis. But now it's just like, look where I am now. Once I got to the place where I stopped hating myself. Where I got to the place like, how much have I lost because of the time I've had to take off, because of the bad decisions I've made, like, oh my God, I'm so far behind in my life. But once I started saying, okay, you know what, let's just start here. Everything else before this does not count. Let's start from now and see what we can create. Then things really started to change for me. And the more you do this and the more you get into the flow of this, you're going to see more and more things start to show up and get into flow with you. And you watch the world start to flow with you rather than fight against you like it's been feeling for all your life. And it's amazing the things that show up. We have our camera woman here who, once she decided she was going to be in flow and wanted to go on a trip, she got the trip paid for. So that was kind of a really cool creation.
2 trips.
2 trips paid for. Okay, sorry. And she's going to go for 3, I think. But this is the thing. It feels like the universe is against you. It feels like the world is fighting you the whole way. But it is your beliefs that are creating the fight. It is your anger at yourself and that the world hates you that creates the reality that the world hates you. When you're ready to forgive yourself, then you'll watch the forgiveness around you start to happen. You'll watch everything come into flow. So I'm going to ask you again, are you willing to forgive yourself for everything that's happened until now?
Yes.
Okay, how you feeling?
I feel shifted.
You're smiling now.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, thank you for coming up here. All right, thank you. Thanks, folks. We will see you again at the end of next month. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Shiraz. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please remember to like and subscribe to our channel. And you can check out upcoming events at www.energeticmagic.com. And remember, be well, be aware, and be magical.